All right, what's up, Dragon Brew? Today we're going to be taking a look at some Simic, because a lot of y'all keep asking, like, hey, I need to see a Simic deck. What do you got? Blah, blah. You know what? This time we're going back to fight rigging, because we haven't really played that since New Capenna was out, I believe. And it actually was all right, but I think this new one is a literal certified banger alert. I don't know why it's literal because it's a banger alert, because that's not a real thing, but you know what I'm saying. It's a banger alert. So let's take a look at what Simic looks like with fight rigging in the new standard. All right, y'all, so if you want to support the channel, and you want to do something that's not Patreon, but you get to support us right here on YouTube, so you only have a one-stop shop. And if you want to get your decks reviewed, or if you want to get your stuff featured on the channel, or if you want exclusive content, or blah, blah, whatever, check out the join button down below. And if you want to protect all your stuff, be sure to check out ultrapro.com/PowrDragn. Use promo code PowrDragn. You'll save 5%, and they'll give us a little kickback here on the channel, so you get to get something for yourself and support me just the same. All right, so all that being said, there's some things we got to cover with this deck. We got to be able to ramp up our mana just in case we don't get the fight rigging and still play all of our stuff. We want to be able to get fight rigging as best we can. And we want to be able to stall until we get all of our big stuff going. So those are kind of the three tenets that we're trying to follow here, which is what we based all of our deck decisions around. So we got 3 Fading Hopes because, you know, Fading Hope, whatever, definitely stalls and buys time. 3 Commune with Spirits, which can actually help us find the fight rigging. So that's pretty cool. It's pseudo fight riggings 5, 6, 7, but you know, not always going to be there. But hey, we get 4 more shots at it. Then we have 3 Make Disappear because we have some defenses and we have a bunch of ways to make tokens, so that's cool. We're playing 4 Loam Speaker because again, ramping up our mana, and 2 Root Coil Creeper for the same reason. Then we have Briarbridge Tracker because again, we're gonna have a lot of tokens. We might as well have something that's a big hitter, and it has Vigilance. So if your opponent doesn't deal with it, you're gonna get to block their problematic thing. Of course, we have fight rigging because this is what we built the deck around. And then we're playing 3 Topiary Somper. Now, I will tell you, in most cases, you're probably going to want to play Briarbridge Tracker before Topiary Somper if your opponent's got a reasonable start, so you could force them to deal with the creature or block their things or whatever. But Topiary Somper does roll up pretty well into some situations where you can go from 3 to 4, and then at 4 you can play several key things. Or you could even just slowly work up your mana to allow you to have 2 spells up or whatever, depending on how the game's developing. We are playing a Grafted Identity. Again, we're going to have tokens to sacrifice, so we're not that worried about it. But this is a good way to like take a Shieldred or other big problematic things. Maybe a Dragon if we get lucky. And then Reservoir Kraken because it's a 6/6 already, which works very well with fight rigging, so that's great. And then 1 Invoke the Winds, partly because I like what Grafted Identity is doing, and this is kind of better because if for some reason your opponent gets off, say, like, I don't know, Invoke Despair, you don't actually have to sacrifice anything because you just own the creature, and that's pretty cool. So yeah, and I don't know why, but it untaps it, so that's just a good bonus. But yeah, we're going to try this out and see how well it goes. And remember, if we get these under a fight rigging, we get to do them at instant speed effectively, which is even better. Then we have 3 Tovolar Huntmaster, super cool, makes extra bodies, buys all that time we're talking about. Then we get on the backside, you could actually fight stuff and clear the path to try to get the win, which is actually pretty cool. And then we have 3 Titan of Industry. And we have to have, I figured 6 was a good number, so we have enough quality things to hit under the fight rigging. But, you know, I actually like what both these are bringing to the table individually. But man, it is late. But individually as creatures that can help us out anyway. The land's really, really simple here. We've got 6 Island, 1 Aurora, 1 Beseiju, 8 Forest, 4 Dreamroot Cascade, and 4 Yavimaya Coast. So nothing too surprising there. Kind of exactly what you expected me to have. But yeah, overall, I think this is going to perform very well. So let's enjoy these games. And at the end of the games, we're going to talk about what we would change or update, and have a card spotlight for you as usual, so maybe you learn a little something. But for now, go enjoy those games, and I'll catch you on the back side of the video. Alright y'all, so there was a little bit of issue in the middle of my recording. Apparently my audio, something updated and my audio settings all changed, so I'm going to do a walkthrough of the games with you and kind of watching my playback. It's just going to be my audio here. I will say these games were super fun. The deck is actually really good, so I think it's still worth a watch. And maybe you'll learn something doing it this way. I know some of you like one way or the other. This is kind of like the way I can make good to give you something without giving you the bad audio quality, which I think is a worse experience, honestly. But y'all let me know in the comments if you would rather just have the other gameplay with the bad audio quality, or if this works out for you, because I'm very curious. But anyway, let's get into these games here. So starting here, I decided to keep this, I'm pretty sure. I don't know. I'm looking at this in hindsight. Okay, good. I did keep it. And partly because there's 2 defensive cards here, right? Like we can go ahead and Fading Hope something if they have an early threat, or we could just counter something. And the reason I went ahead and played the Yavimaya Coast first is I kind of still wanted to hold on to the option of Otawara, because, like, I don't know, there's a world where maybe we draw like 3 lands in a row and then we don't need to necessarily play it, but we didn't, obviously, so there's that. All right, so we're gonna go ahead and bounce this, mostly because I need to scry. I'm not too worried about that card in and of itself, but I wanted to make sure there was a land on top. And then this obviously gets us a tracker. Still doesn't solve our mana problems for next turn yet, but it is what it is. Now, we knew that was going to come back out. The issue here is, do we want to leave mana up for a counter? But I don't know that we do. I mean, even if they play like their Spirit that's going to become 3/3, it's like, it's a tough call. So we said we go ahead and counter that one, because they obviously are stuck on lands because they didn't play one yet. And it's like, okay, well, now we get to spend 4. And I'm obviously not going to steal that, so we're just going to play the biggest thing we can play. And this at least opens up some options for the coming turns. Yeah, they went ahead and tapped. I don't really know why, though, because they're not going to attack with their 1/1, so there wasn't a point of giving us a token there. That's a 3/3, and a Fading Hope's really sweet, but we don't really need it, honestly. Now, I did briefly, for a second, consider just stealing their 3/3 and kind of ending this, which I probably could have. But I figured this build probably has some angel or something down the road that if things go sideways, I'd rather have that. And if they just block a tracker there, we're okay with it. It's not going to end the game in any way, shape, or form that we're going to be worried about. I mean, right now we have a Fading Hope to slow the opponent down. Now, that card I wasn't thinking about, but the card is really good. I've been putting it in all my white decks lately, or at least creature-based white decks. So yeah, like, card is ridiculous. But they get to choose, so I didn't really know what they wanted to choose here, but I'm assuming it's either going to be... okay, they actually got the Grafted Identity and not the Huntmaster, which I thought they were going to. Not that it matters, because we're a little far away from casting each one, but with us having 2 clues on board, it's not going to be that hard for us to be able to find our 6th land. So yeah, we just attack. I mean, we have unblockable tokens and a 4/3, so if you want to trade, let's do it. And now we can Fading Hope something and crack both clues. And I was just like, whoa, Giada, like, what? Where does that even come from? And it's like, Fleeting Spirit, sure, they gain a life, but we don't really care that much otherwise that thing exists. It can't block our 1/1s, and it's too small to block our 6/6, whatever. Yep, bounce to the Giada. Mostly because if they have angels, it really makes the other ones more restricted. Yeah, we'll definitely take a Fight Rigging. Because, I mean, we get to Fight Rigging onto a 6/6 and get a big ability right off the top. So we get to draw the Fight Rigging. And, you know, really, in hindsight, if I knew I was going to draw anyway, I should have just drawn with the first 2 cards. And then scry on the unknown card. Now, admittedly, the way the cards came up, I probably leave them as they were. Because now I have both steal effects in hand, plus I've got the Fight Rigging that's going to be able to do whatever we want. And we have a 6th land, so we can eventually play a Huntmaster. However, we're going to get a free Huntmaster here, which is just a pretty big bonus. And it's going to start heading this game down the closing sequence, if you will. So yeah, make the 2 tokens there, go to attack. They can tap the 6/6, give us a 1/1. We'll attack for 3 unblockable, put them at 10. And now it's just a tough spot for the opponent. Like, I don't know. Yeah, that's the Paragon's not nearly enough. Like, we can steal it 2 different ways if we really want to. So it's like, yeah, we'll just take it. So there's no blockers, and now you got to deal with this big pile of duders. Yeah, I'm like, let me put the counter somewhere else. Let's put it on an unblockable thing. Yeah, that's gonna do it. All right, so this hand was at least interesting. You know, this is one I kind of debated on mulliganing for a bit, but I decided to keep it. Mostly because I could find more land with the Commune with Spirits. And don't get me wrong, that's not like a huge reason, because we still need to find a creature to stick things on, or else this fight rigging is going to be kind of pointless. But I was like, you know what the hell, why don't we? And there I was kind of looking at the Boseiju and going, all right, they played a green-white land, which means this could be green-white enchantments. If so, Boseiju is going to have much more value down the road. Unfortunately here we missed. No land, and 2 of the fight riggings are in hand, so the odds are pretty low as far as finding another one. All right, they play a tap land. That was disheartening, I'm not gonna lie. When we pick up a land or card and it's another Titan, it's just like, bruh, like the most expensive thing, and we're just digging for lands right now. All right, so Jaren sort of surprised me because I wasn't 100% sure where this deck was going. Which, you know, credit to the opponent. That's what you want to do, is disorient the opposition if you can. Makes it harder for me to plan for things. But I kind of just went, well, my game plan's my game plan, right? I'm still going to play the dinosaur, search a land up. We're still 3 lands away from landing a Titan. Downside is, even if we get a fight rigging off, we have a Titan that's oh, now, okay, I'm going to pause this here for a second. Because I did want to talk about this, because I did this in real time, and I thought, okay, I'm going to rewind here just a second. Because when they play the Shieldred, I most definitely, you can see here, I have the stop on, and it's during their attack step, because I did it almost immediately. And it doesn't stop during my draw step for some reason, or during my upkeep. Because I was like, why would I not be able to bounce that before I get to my draw? Because I should have been. And this is kind of where I'm looking, going like, did I not hit the stop? I most definitely did. Like, I totally did. You know, like, so I was like, well, so I took 2 damage I didn't have to take there, and that sucked. Now, as it turns out, I ended up drawing a Make Disappear, which is cool, because now I can just counter the Shieldred. So I don't have to worry about that. I'm still going to take 3 here, which is fine, but like, I could have taken 2 less, which would have been even better. So yeah, I was a little miffed, but not like upset, but enough that like it could affect the strategy and outcome of the game. Not having 2 more life, because I'm having to take damage off the Yavimaya coast as well. So having another 2 points is a big deal, especially if they had like a removal card here. Get rid of our Kraken would have been a big deal, and then we'd have been close to dead. Even more so now that they played Lisa, because now Lisa attacks twice and I die, right? So this was kind of like the frustrating part of the whole thing. Here, I decided, you know what? It's worth it for me to just go ahead and take 2. They haven't really shown a way to make a bunch of extra tokens at this point. I'll go to 6. It was going to be a 2-turn clock either way. But here, I'm just like, let's see if we get something good on the fight rigging. And then it was like, oh my, this is like one of the best cards we could have gotten. Like, for real, one of the best cards. Because now we get to steal their Lisa and we get to untap it. So we get to block with it as well and gain some life back. And it was like, oh, that's so good. So good. That was easily the best thing we could have drawn there. And I wasn't even thinking about that card being an option. Like, it's a huge deal. So now we're in great shape. Now it's like, all right, I don't even know what the opponent's going to play here other than a sweeper. Because we don't even care about these little puds being played. It's like, the only thing I was concerned about is if there was some way for them to drain us for some life before we get to attack with Lisa. But yeah, now we're in the driver's seat. Because we can also just play fight riggings, and we can put counters on Lisa to gain extra life. Though, here is a real thing. You have to be aware of, yeah, it looks like we're just going to get another Kraken. Like, you have to check and be aware of which fight rigging is targeting what creature. Because if we want to get the free Kraken, we still have to have that particular fight rigging target our existing Kraken. So that's why you see me being slow here. I'm like double checking which one's targeting what. And then the other one stacks and it goes to target Lisa. And that's the way you have to do it. Because if the wrong one targeted Lisa, it wouldn't be at 7 yet. And we wouldn't get the thing that's underneath it. But now we're gold, right? Because you tap our creatures, we're still getting 1/1s. Like if we find another land, we get to just cast a Titan. Plus we get to attack with a dinosaur. We're gaining 5 back here, so that's a 5 life swing. So now we're at 11. I'm like, great. And knowing we're 1 land away from a Titan in hand, even if something happened to the board here, we're gold. Whereas it looked like we were going to get pretty low and die. And, you know, that whole mistake there with Shieldred, it worked out. Yeah, here I was just thinking, like, we have 3 blockers, or 2 blockers technically, because we can't block with the dinosaur yet. But even if we just have to chump block with tokens, like, fine. Yeah, that was pretty rough. They had to use that to kill their own Lisa, truthfully. I was just like, wow. That's what we want, though, right? If they're using their own removal to kill their cards, great. Still ends up being a 2-for-1. Yeah, here, I don't know if they're just debating, like, do you want to give us a 1/1 or not? Maybe. But, like, if you're the only way you're going to get to attack is if you're giving me 1/1s. But the problem is if you attack and you don't have blockers or some crazy amount of life gain, you're going to die anyway. Yeah. So there, I wouldn't even tap the thing and give me a token. But now it's like playing a Titan. That's got to end the game, right? Yeah, there you go. Alright, this one, we have plenty of lands. We've got a turn 2 creature, which I don't know if we've had a turn 2 mana creature yet in any of these games. So that's nice. We can stick a fight rigging that's going to be kind of weak right now, but it will still grow a creature. And hopefully that will set us up so at some point we actually get to cast a Huntmaster. So the biggest thing about this hand is I can at least see a sequence. Now, I was concerned here when I saw it was a black deck. So I'm like, all right, well, the first Loam Speaker we play is just going to die. Like, we're just going to chalk that one up to unfortunate time. But then I was like, well, maybe not. Like, oh, maybe they don't want to kill it. Nope, they want to kill it. All right, so we take 1. They're going to pump, and we'll take 2. And that's totally understandable. Now, we could try to do fight rigging shenanigans here, but I'm like, you know what? We're just going to play another Loam Speaker. Because the reality is, if we play fight rigging by itself, we don't get any value out of it. And if we just play the Loam Speaker, maybe they'll play other removal. Now, I understand this as a test, because if we block, then they just pump, give it Death Touch, and kill our thing. And like, that's okay. But here, I felt like, all right, if your best play is just play the Werewolf, maybe this ain't so bad for us. This is where I'm starting to convince myself that, like, maybe this is where we're slowly turning it around. Like, we've got all our land drops. Let's see if we can find another one, maybe, to guarantee getting... Well, we already can get to 6. It's just, do we want to try to get to 7? Or do we also want to try to find another fight rigging? Because doubling the counters from fight rigging could get us to where we can at least get the Loam Speaker up big enough. But we'll see. Yeah, this was one I'm like, I've got to take Grafted Identity, right? I mean, we could just steal a Shieldred, possibly. And that's just way too good. Yep, nothing there. However, losing the Kraken is a big deal. But if they didn't kill our Loam Speaker last time and it didn't play like Liliana or anything, I'm going to assume that we're going to get to cast the big Huntmaster next turn anyway. So we're going to have Huntmaster plus free card, which is a big deal because going into turn 5, if they have an Invoke Despair, we'll have an extra enchantment we can get rid of, which might just be fight rigging at that point. And we'll have extra bodies, so tokens we can sacrifice if we really want to. So we don't lose any real value if they decide to play an Invoke Despair. Alright, and we got another Kraken anyway for sport, so that's fine. And here, I think the only real decision is, do we want to play Kraken, activate a land, put a counter on it, attack Sorin? Or do we just say, you know what, F it, let's go ahead, play our big thing, maybe just play a Tovolar's Huntmaster, make use of our mana as best we can, and then just steal their flyer. Because we can sacrifice one of the tokens, which is the biggest thing. Now, I did debate for a while what to steal here, because I could discard the Kraken if I wanted to get rid of the Werewolf, the Trespasser, but there's just not enough value there, honestly. And I think if we take the flyer, we can get a multi-point life swing. I was like, we could guarantee we kill the Sorin. But if you see here, I did really contemplate going after the Werewolf. But yeah, I'm doing a lot of thinking here. This is like, I'm trying to plot over the next couple of turns. Let's say this token lives. Well, part of it too was, remember, I'm still of the mindset that they're probably going to play Invoke Despair, right? And my thought is, if they do I care that this is only a 3/4 and not a 4/5? Because I'm going to have to sacrifice, minimum is what I'm thinking right now, is the Fight Rigging and a 2/2 Wolf. I'm pretty sure those are going to be bad for us. And here, I'm not even totally sure how I want to block. I was thinking about this pretty heavy too. And going like, well, do I want to just block with a 2/2 and then force them to spend their mana to keep their other thing up? Like, just knowing damn well that it dies. And if they decide to trade and still play Invoke Despair, then whatever, we'll just sacrifice the Loam Speaker. But here, as soon as they decided to pump to protect against the Wolf, I was like, oh, okay. And they just drew a card, so they're effectively shields down now. And because they didn't cast anything, now we have a 7/7 that makes creatures when we attack. So now we got everything all kinds of rolled up here. And we could even fight something. Now, admittedly, the stuff they have is all bigger than a wolf, so until you have 4 mana, can't really do much with that. And we are only at 10, so we gotta be clear about that too. Because we can't quite attack with enough here to end the opponent, but it's something we have to consider. Now, because we get the wolves here, an attack is mostly safe. We attack with a 7/7 and a 3/4. They either block and trade or give up their creature. It's not even a trade, and they'll gain life. But otherwise, I think we're mostly good. I was just debating where I want to put that, and I figured the flyer was going to have a bigger target on it than the Loam Speaker. So it just felt like it made more sense for me to put the counter on the Loam Speaker. And the Loam Speaker is able to block a 4/4 and force the opponent to have to spin extra cards if it comes down to that. Yep, get in there. All right. And this is where I'm starting to feel okay, because, like, what's the best thing the opponent can do otherwise? Like, Meat Hook for 4? That gets rid of everything but the 2 biggest creatures, and those happen to belong to me, and that's 1 attack step from dead if they do that. Alright, they've got 4 cards and a big pile of mana. Most of it's black. Alright, they're going to tap our big 6/6 and give us a 1/1. Yeah, this is, at this point, I'm really not sure what the opponent's hand even looks like. But I'm anticipating the worst. But the worst isn't even that bad for us, right? Liliana's not any good. Invoke Despair is not that good. Shieldred is fine-ish. I mean, we could still attack into Shieldred at this point. And just let Shieldred trade for something. But yeah, here I was just kind of like, well, what do we even block? I mean, do we care if we have to kill anything or not? Do I want to keep a token around so if I have to sacrifice something, it could just be a token? Yeah, so there's even though this might look like a routine block, it's a matter of, do I want to block in a way that kills the opponent's thing, or at least attempts to? They can obviously have instant speed removal that make it all bad. Or do I want to block in a way that leaves me the most remaining creatures? Yeah, and that's why you see me moving them around a little bit. It's just like, all right. So we ended up blocking just 1/1. And again, I thought if you don't have the Invoke Despairs or something that makes me sacrifice a creature, then you're making this attack with either in-hand removal or some type of meat hook situation or whatever anyway. But if you don't have that, then I'm maximizing the turn to be able to attack for lots many next turn. So yeah, this is, all right, they're going to draw a card, lose a life, so they go to 10. With 3 mana still open. So unless it's like hard removal here, this is lights out for them. Because they're only at 10. And you'd have to get rid of both biggins right now to even have a realistic shot. Yeah, cut down on the smallest thing on the board doesn't really do it. Underdog, you're kind of nice, but I don't know if that's enough. Yeah, just being nice ain't cutting it. All right. I mean, I did debate here. Like, I was like, opponents at 10, if they tap our 6/6, like we get in for 7, 11. I was like, I don't even think it matters how we attack, and it really doesn't. Okay. If this hand had like a 2 mana thing, I'd probably be a lot happier with it, but this is marginally better just because of the Fading Hope I can use early. I mean, unfortunately, having the Titan's almost a mulligan to 5 here, so it's not going to get much better by us mulliganing anyway, so you just keep it. But this actually works out, because now we can Fading Hope something, and then we can play the Stomper into the Kraken, and it looks like we're against maybe either some Gruul Aggro or Werewolves, so that's kind of nice. Now, if they play something like Stormseeker next turn, we can't block it, so whatever, we just have to eat it. Which is fine, you know. We get to have the biggest thing on board that's going to at least make a chump blocker every turn, so that's fine. And we're now really just a couple of lands away from being able to play the Titan as well, so this actually did a good bit to get us where we want to go. Now here, this is kind of the silly thing, right? They didn't kick the Iconoclast to attack here, so that sort of tells us they have something like Play with Fire, I would guess. And it's just kind of like, you can't really do much with that here. We're going to go ahead and play our big monster, the Kraken. Play with Fire doesn't kill anything here, so unless they just want to shoot us to scry, it doesn't have a lot of value to them. And now we've got fight rigging ready to go, so like this is big time. Like, this is the type of situation where, though the hand started out kind of slow, this actually worked out, or at least looked kind of slow. It kind of came together pretty well. And it really only took like one thing to solidify stuff, so this worked out pretty well for us. And being able to scoop up that fight rigging was a nice bonus. But even if we didn't get fight rigging, we probably would have been okay for a couple of turns just with the 1/1s we were going to get anyway. But yeah, they go ahead and play one of our favorite new cards, Beast Caller. But really, until they get something that's like a 6/6, we don't really care. Yeah, you probably just pass here, opponent, and then just do it on my turn to keep it from attacking you, because no real point in giving us a 1/1 here that's not going to matter. I mean, the 1/1 will matter for us, but they're not going to attack here, so I don't really get it. Like, I mean, I guess they could if you wanted to tap it down and attack for 3, but I mean, we're still at 20, so I'm not sure how much value would have been there. Yeah, now this is where it starts to get kind of easy to start getting excited, because like, okay, well, we can get a free Titan, and then if I get another land, I can just cast the other Titan that's in hand. So now we got real things happening. Yeah, and here I'm just like, I'll make a body and whatever. Like, you got to find 7 damage. So you're going to 2-for-1 this thing? Sure, we're going to put a shield on it. So now you're going to have an even harder time dealing with it. And now this is where it starts to get tough for the opponent, because I'm not sure where they go from here. Like, how many times have you seen where your opponent plays a Raiju on time and you kind of just go like, yeah, all right. Like, big old board, and we're like, yeah, all right, so you have a Raiju. Big deal. Yep. Not only do I have all the manas now, I have 2 active Topiary Stompers as well. And here I'm thinking I'm just going to take an extra island, so if I do draw the blue Invoke here to steal something, I have the 4 blue that I need. But here, I'm just like, do I care what to attack with? I'm just like, all right, let's leave our 2 big bodies back just in case. I mean, I am at 20, but it's just like, I don't know. Maybe they have another Raiju, and that's ugly. The only thing I might have done different here if I'm the opponent is I would consider blocking and trading with the Beast Caller. So they save themselves for life, but they can move those counters wherever they want. And then if they attack with the Raiju, they get extra triggers, which could be kind of big. Or just have a really big Raiju, because you're probably going to run it into a Kraken. So, well, yeah, here, now that you have a second Raiju, all your creatures having counters on them would be pretty strong too. Now, admittedly, it's probably just going to be one more creature than what you have now. So, I mean, there's that. So, whatever, I guess. But yeah, the opponent's just dead here. Like, they're tapped out. We can block any way we want to and still have up plenty of damage. Like, we could trade everything on the blocks if we wanted to, and it won't even matter. So, like, here, I'm just like, yeah, I guess I block there, block here, so you don't have a Raiju. Yeah, once I start making the blocks, opponent sees it. Okay, this is actually the most normal hand I think we've seen so far, where we can go ahead and just play mana creatures early, which is kind of nice. Into multiple other things. The thing that's tough here, though, is always deciding, like, you know, when you see this, it doesn't really tell us what type of deck it is, so I don't know if we could get away with playing a creature here or not. So I just go with this, just because I'm like, if this dies, it's the less valuable of our mana creatures. But realistically, if anything, I was thinking it might just get exiled. But like, no, there's a wedding announcement. I was like, okay, well, I almost wish I would have left mana open to stop a wedding announcement, because this is going to get annoying real fast. But here we are. So we have a Kraken. Opponent decides to tap our Kraken, I guess, so they can attack on their turn, which is fine. If they want to draw a card or something here. Nope, they have a Bank Buster. And then they decided not to attack anyway, so we got a free 1/1 there for not much reason, I guess. But this is actually starting to look okay, right? Because we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 mana already. We can play Loam Speakers, so we can have 6. And that opens up the doors to the Huntmaster. But here's kind of the problem too, though, is we can't play the Invoke yet because we need another blue mana. Because right now we could tap our mana creatures to get the blue, but we still need an additional one. Now, we can block some spells if we need to by sacking the token to one of the Make Disappears, or we can just hard cast them or whatever. So, several options here. Opponent's creatures aren't big enough to punch through yet. Now, they are 2/2s now, but they still don't get to block our fish, so that's a big deal. And I'm kind of just debating, like, okay, what do we do here? Do we care about trying to leave mana up? Probably not. We've got 2 of the Huntmasters. Opponent's still at 20 and I'm still at 20 though, and that's kind of my concern here, is I feel like this could get away from us a little bit if I'm not careful. And I am worried about stuff like Wandering Emperor and stuff showing up here. But we put them down to 18, so we get first blood, all things considered. But we're going to get a Huntmaster, and we get 2 bodies, which happen to be 2/2s, so you can effectively block the things coming at it, so that's nice. Yeah, opponent gets to do whatever they want here. Yep, and it is a Wandering Emperor. But to be real, I don't know if I would have left mana up in that scenario regardless, because, like, we're not getting enough value out of it to leave that up. Like, we'd have taken a pile of damage because we did not had much in the way. I think this is more than reasonable, because it at least keeps the opponent from wanting to attack there. Unfortunately, still didn't find the other blue mana, which is super annoying. I did debate here, though, like, do we just send everything at the opponent and just let them trade some stuff? Like, but I thought, okay, do we send everything that's not a mana creature? Because we definitely want those so we can cast the Invoke, right? So, like, maybe that's a thing. Like, it's hard to figure out here. But the other concern too is, I mean, I guess I didn't really have to be worried about it. I was gonna say if there's another Wandering Emperor, but we could always just sacrifice a fish to make disappear. But the thing is here, because we didn't cast a spell, all we did was attack. Well, now we get to flip our Huntmaster, and if we attack with the Huntmaster, we get to make 2 more bodies. However, they did find a wedding announcement, and I considered I could sacrifice a fish here, and I could have made them pay more. But the problem was, I didn't really know if I wanted to blow both of these here or not, or if I wanted to get into a counterspell war later. And so we'll see. But is what it is. All right, here comes more 2/2s, I guess. I was about to say 1/1s, but they already have a bonus. Also remember that our wolves can fight as long as we're on the backside of the Huntmaster, which is very important here. And we could just attack and see what the opponent does about it. Now, it does take 4 mana to fight, so that's a little tough. But, you know, is what it is. Now, I also did consider just, again, attacking with everything but the mana creatures here, because I think that's a reasonable argument, but realistically, I would just cost the opponent 2 tokens, and I wasn't sure if like 2 tokens was enough with them having 4 cards in hand. I mean, it might very well be, but who knows? Now, if I had like a Fading Hope or anything like that, then maybe I would consider something different here. Because then your opponent doesn't get great blocks, which is fine. But we did get them down to 15. We're going to go ahead and play the other Huntmaster, which will come into play producing 2 more wolves. And it's like, oh no! But we have our own disputes because or make disappear, because we've sat on these forever. Alright, wolf resolves. We get 2 wolves. And then there's a lot in play here, right? Because if we go to oh yeah, I forgot. They flip because we had to play the make disappear on our turn there. So that was a little bit of a downside. And yet another wedding announcement. Okay. Now, this did become a bit of a concern. It's like, okay, having the Adeline plus making multiple tokens here is pretty tough. But the interesting thing is, we're still only 1 blue away from just stealing Adeline, which is kind of funny. Alright, what do we got? Now, I did think about just cracking this here, but I couldn't think of what I would draw that would matter there, except for maybe Fight Rigging that we could cast. And to be honest, I'm not even 100% sure I'd even want to cast it here, because we have the mana that we want to leave up to be able to use our make disappear and whatnot. So I figured I'll just wait. We'll draw during their end step. Now, if the opponent attacks here, we still have favorable blocks for now. One of those is about to flip and turn everything into 3/3, so that becomes a whole different problem. But, you know, it's a problem for future us, and future us is about to see what past us left us, and we're not going to be too happy. Alright, we get a land out of the way. We do get a commune, which is kind of nice, I guess. Now, this is where I do make a little bit of a mistake. Until I decide if I want to use the commune or not, I should not have played that land. Because if I opt to play the commune now, I very well could find an untapped blue land and then just have access to the invoke. And I think that's what I'm looking at now, like, well now, since I've already dedicated to that, unless I'm going to look for like a fight rigging or something, I'm not sure what the benefit of me playing the commune is anymore. So it's like, alright, let's just attack. We'll leave mana up to block and fight some things, because we have the ability to let our wolves fight other creatures. And we have 2 big wolves, so they're 7/7s. So as long as we don't play anything, they don't flip, and we're in good shape. At least for a turn. Now, the problem for the opponent here is they are only at 9. And if they don't get active here, I mean, we can have our wolves just fight stuff down. So yeah, they're kind of making a desperation attack here, but it's like the best they could do. Yeah, the problem here is they're only at 9, so as long as we block in a way we don't die here, there's really no way for them to win. But here I'm like, okay, even if you have something to pump your team, probably still going to be hard for us to lose here. And the tough part here though is if you look at how I'm starting to line up these blocks, I actually can't block with the mana creatures. Like I'm still in a situation that I need the blue mana to get this invoke off to allow us to still control of the Adeline. So as weird as it is, it's like, okay, well, this is the most, and I think I'm going to take like 12 here or something. And I'm like, yeah, sure, that's fine. I'm at 20, so whatever. And we're going to kill off multiple dudes. Because, oh no, actually right now, I think actually right now I was taking something like 18, but I'm able to get it down to 12 by fighting a 3/3 here. Because they're targeting one of our wolves to kill it. We might as well just, the one that's going to die, we might as well just spend the mana having it fight stuff anyway. So we do that, get rid of one of the unblocked ones, and then we'll go ahead and tap our mana creatures, which are not dedicated to a block right now. And again, we'll have our big wolf fight another unblocked one, which is what I'm looking for. I'm just making sure I target one that doesn't have an assigned blocker already. And then, like I said, I think we end up taking either 9. I think we just take 9 here. It's either 9 or 12, but I think it's 9. All right, so then that dies, and I think we did a good job here overall. Just keeping our life total up. I mean, that little wolf token gets obliterated by Adeline, so yeah, it is what it is. All right, so we took 12, going to 8. That's fair. And they don't make a token, which is important, because a token to block here could have made a difference. But they opted to just draw the card. Well, I guess they didn't have a choice because they attacked with everything there. And then this is where I'm just double checking, like, if we still add a line, what happens? Because we know they can activate the Bank Buster, but like, they do that anyway. And the cool part is when you steal a creature with the Invoke the Winds, you actually get to untap the thing, which I don't know why it has that extra text, but you know, it seems fine. Now, the amusing thing here is I could have actually searched to see if we find fight rigging, but truthfully, we can just have our 7/7 fight their 4/4, and that's probably going to start bringing things to a close. But we do have so much mana that I'm like, all right, I guess we'll just do the thing. There's a fight rigging. All right. It's like, I don't even know what I'm gaining out of this at this point, but it's like, yeah, sure. It's like, oh, look, there's a fading hope. It's like, hold up a second. If they don't have a counter spell, we might just win. Which is funny, because I was not even thinking about that being an option, but it's like, okay, well, we put a counter on a fish, most likely. Why am I putting it on an 8/8? I have no... Oh, I have to put it on the 8/8 so I can get access to the Fading Hope. That's why. And then... yeah, that's it. They don't have anything else in hand, so that was pretty sweet. Alright. This hand doesn't seem too bad. Mostly because we have Topiary Stomper followed by Fight Rigging, if nothing else. So we're going to go ahead and keep. This is most of what we want. What I've been enjoying about this deck so far is we're actually able to win quite a few games, and it doesn't matter on the play or the draw, or if the opponent has a hyper aggro situation or not. Like, way more versatile than I thought it was going to be. So this is actually real quality here, because if they do play something, we'll try to make disappear. If not, I guess we're just rolling out a... yeah, we'll go ahead and stop that. Like, we're the only ones that get to have fast mana opponent. Alright, not totally sure what we're going to do with that other commune just yet. But at this rate, it looks like maybe find a land. I'm going to go ahead and take an island here to make sure I can cast my Kraken next turn. And just see what the opponent's going to play here. Because I don't know. I mean, what you got? A Jetmare. Okay, well, that's a problem. But we at least got it controlled early. Opponent, would you like to tap it? Maybe. Maybe? If you plan to attack with Jetmare, I guess. Yeah. Makes sense. Well, we can just still do a fair bit here with 4 mana, so I'm definitely not mad at it. Alright, they're going to Leyline Binding for a whole 1 because they have all the other mana available, and then just pay the 2 and get rid of the Kraken. So, a little bit sad, but yeah, makes sense. Alright, not blocking there, not yet. We're at 15. This complicated things just a little bit, drawing the one of the other Topiary Stompers. But then I was like, you know what? I probably just got to play Tracker, because Tracker's going to at least be able to straight up fight a Jetmare so we can keep it at home for a little bit. There's a land that we're looking for, so that's great. Alright, and then we play a land, and now we could be in a situation where it's possible to just draw a land and play a Tovolar's Huntmaster. But we shall see. Alright, there's another Catilda. Why not? Oh, excuse me, it's late while I'm trying to make these corrected videos for you. Alright, and then a Shayna. I like it. Though we're going to have plenty of things to keep Shayna at home, because we got 6 mana now. So, yeah, team. Let's just go ahead and play a big 6/6 that comes with 2 bodies. The only thing, though, and I think this is why I'm being slow here, is I could get away with playing like Topiary Stomper that would make our Topiaries live, and then we'd still have mana up for Make Disappear, which is probably better because we still have a fish here to sacrifice if we need to. And then after we get the land, it's going to let our other Topiary Stomper attack, and everything they have is 4 toughness or less. And I'm willing to trade for the other things here, so it doesn't really bother me. I'm just like, yeah, bring it. Both of these have vigilance. So, whatever. Whatever's whatever, man. I probably should have attacked with the 1/1 here, though, because the only way I'm gonna get anything... Well, I mean, I guess I could chump block and save some damage, but that's not really what we're trying to do here. There's a Jodah, and then we just counter the Jodah, and all we have to do is... Oh, no! I tapped too fast there. All I had to do was sacrifice that fish.
It was at this moment that he knew he f***ed up.
That's it. That's it. I could have stopped the Jodah. I could have made them pay 4 for this thing. Why did I not do that? This is what happens, y'all. This is where I say, do as I say, not as I do. Because all you had to do was slow down for a half a second and be like, oh yeah, I have a token to sacrifice and the opponent has an untapped Catilda that I knew damn well was there. But anyway, is what it is. Alright, it's just, are they going to pay for it? Yes, they are. Ugh. Ugh. That hurt me inside because that was completely avoidable. 100%. And honestly, let's be real. If I wasn't going to play the counter right, I should have just played a fight rigging last turn. But now it's like, I don't even know what I'm trying to get right here. I just like, and honestly, I was tempted to just take another fight rigging here. Because there is a world where if we can get a steal spell to control Jodah, we could turn things around on the opponent. Because I have a feeling with their last couple cards, it's probably just going to be try to get extra legends in play. So if we were able to remove Jodah, we still could win here, but right now, we don't get to do anything with Jodah sitting on the side of the... I mean, I guess I can't say we don't do anything. I mean, that's not totally accurate. Like, there is a world where we could attack... I mean, we'd get 5 damage in, but then they just have a whole wall of blockers after they just hold up. But like, think about this. If here's the problem. Let me pause this for a second. As we see, they're gonna play Lagrella. But like, if I had to stop Joda, then I could have attacked last turn with everything. Everything being, assuming they would have tapped down my Kraken, because Kraken's 7. So either that or they're just gonna chump block it anyway. But okay, let's say they don't, and they just chump block our Kraken, and then maybe they trade Jetmir for one of the other 4 power creatures. They still would have taken, and they could have chump blocked with Catilda. So they still would have taken 5 and been at 5, with us having remaining Kraken, Titan on the board. Like, so then even if they have another Joda, it doesn't really matter, because Joda's showing up with nothing on the battlefield. Because they either don't block in a way that they go to 1, but then they only kill one of our creatures, and then we definitely have lethal the next turn anyway. Or they block and stay alive and they play another Joda and nothing. So literally, playing too fast is going to end up costing us this game. Now again, there is a world where I could possibly draw a Steel Spell and take control of their Joda, but that would be our only out here. But yeah, there's no way we can win from here though, realistically. I'm willing to just concede this and just say, you know what? I goofed up. I made a mistake. Is what it is. So yeah, it's all good. I'm not even mad about it, honestly. That's just one of those ones that you make a dumb mistake. But that's our first loss in the video, and it's literally to my own misplay. Not even a misplay, honestly. It's just a straight up mistake, like just clicking too fast. So yeah, I'm just GG's. Let them have it. We'll move on to the next game. Okay, here we go. We're locked in on this one. This one's actually not too bad. I would like to have a third land in hand, but hey, you know, we got 2 mana creatures, so it's going to have to be good enough. And we can actually just bounce a thing anyway, because we have a Fading Hope, and that's all good. But I just realized that Dreamroot Cascade is not a Yavimaya Coast, which is what I thought it was when I kept my hand. And I was like, oh no, that's really bad. So now we're going to be off schedule doing the things we want to do, and that's not going to help us. Now, the biggest thing here is we're going to go ahead and go with Loam Speaker, because if they only have Play with Fire, then Loam Speaker gets to survive, and that's huge. If we play the Root Coil Creeper and they play with Fire, then we're in really bad shape. So here, worst case scenario, they have to spend, at least right now, what would be their whole turn to play a 3 damage spell to kill off our Root Coil or a Loam Speaker. And if they do, they do. You know what I mean? Like, we just have to take those odds. Same reason here, I'm not going to block, even though, you know, being able to prevent some damage would be good. If I'm already a believer in the fact that they have a Play with Fire, then it's not worth doing anything there. Now here, this was another spot where, like, if I believe they have the Play with Fire, we got to get it out of their hand at some point, right? So we just go for it. But I will admit, I considered just playing the tracker and just saying, well, you didn't deal 3 damage to our Loam Speaker, so are you going to deal 3 damage to our tracker? And in hindsight, that could have still been the correct answer. But here we also get the benefit of having open a Fading Hope. And an interesting thing here I considered was, had the opponent not played Squee, I could have actually blocked and then Fading Hoped if they tried to, like, shoot us for damage and then just grow their creatures so they can get max value. Then we could have bounced the guy getting the counters on it over there. But this is a little scary. We're already at 11, and it's kind of like, yeah, do we have a choice, you know? And I'm just like, yeah, we just go big because I have a fight rigging in hand already. So it's just, can we survive this turn? That's literally the whole, and I'm pretty sure we can. I can't think of too many scenarios in current standard where the opponent's going to be able to do 11 with you having a chump blocker. Even if they Fading Hope to get rid of it, it wouldn't be nearly enough right now. Now, there is a random world where if it's Play with Fire, shoot the token, using the Phoenix Chick to tap our Kraken, Then you play with Fire Us, play with Fire Us. That's 2-4. You would have pumped your other creature 3 times, so it would be a 5. So that'd only be 9. Yeah, we'd still be alive, so that doesn't get it done either. All right. So this is an interesting thing on how much I want to take. It's arguable maybe I should have traded for just a token and taken an extra point. But we're already so low that being at 6 versus being at 7 is a big deal. Because, ooh, it's like, ooh, we have a Tovolar's Huntmaster. That's pretty sweet. We get a lot of blockers. But being at 6 means they can shoot you for 3, shoot you for 3, right? Whereas if you're at 7, they got to do a lot more work to get you here. All right, so we're going to not... I thought about, like, attacking. I said, nah, we're not the beat down here, not at 7. Plus, if they play something like... well, not that. But I was thinking Land Raiju. We want to have all the biggest defenders behind to be able to deal with that. All right, and a Ronin. So this tells me the opponent's just going to be trying to make an all-out attack here. Because why else are you playing the Ronin and spending mana if you're not coming to get it? All right. So this is a lot, but we're just going to block up. They're like, there's no reason to do anything else. Just go get it across the board. I'm like, we can block that. We can block that. It's like, And here I'm just kind of playing the game that, hey, if you've got the play with fire, then you got it. I'm willing to accept that, and I just lose a Loam Speaker or whatever. Oh yeah, here I had some confusion on... I do remember this. I'm trying to figure out like what was blocking what for some reason, because I ended up having 2 things. I think I was getting my 2 blocking lines crisscross on the far right. But then I was like, oh, I just have this token that doesn't have to block anything. That's cool. And now I've got fight rigging, and I get to keep up Make Disappear. And this is where it's like, come on, Titan. Come on, Titan. Come on, Titan. Hey, it's a Titan. Now, this is beautiful because the Titan is able to gain us life, so we get out of danger range, being at 5. And we get the ability to block a Phoenix Chick. So, all that's great. Yeah, I just took the life gain and the token, so I'm like, whatever. Like, I'm not worried about putting a shield on Titan. If you can deal 7 to kill it, and it didn't kill me when I'm already low on life, whatever. I like that trade. And here, I was being a little too cautious. Oh, because I think I was trying to figure out how to win. And what's funny is, I actually missed this looking at it. Because we have 15 in just big creatures. 16, 17, 18. With creatures that are eligible to attack here. And it's like, what was I doing? And it was like, why didn't I do that differently? Because if I would have turned a Loam Speaker land into a creature, that would have been enough. Because that would have been 15 plus 3 is 18, 19, 20. I would have actually had 21. I wouldn't even had to attack with the fish. But here we get to stop. And honestly, I don't think we could have lost that anyway. All right. I can't lie, y'all. This was good. This was damn good. Like, this was surprisingly good. That we held up against things that had Shieldred, some aggro stuff, a mid-rangey thing that made a bunch of tokens, mono red. Like, okay, I'm in. Count me in. Like this. Yeah, I'll probably be playing this more. This was surprisingly good. I don't even think I want to change much in the deck. The only thing I would change is I'd probably want another like grafted identity, maybe, possibly. But I don't even know what I would replace because everything else was actually really good. Like we literally used every card in the deck during the course of those games, and they were all strong and effective in what they needed to do. So I don't think I could justify cutting any of them, which makes me a little concerned. So maybe we only get to play 2 stale effects and it just has to be good enough. And because we have the fight riggings, maybe that's fine because it's pseudo tutor to get us to them in a lot of cases. I don't know. Interesting stuff though. I like the way the deck played. It gave us a lot of options. You can win without getting a fight rigging, which is also very cool. So yeah, this was excellent. If you have the cards or you're close to finishing this out, go ahead and give it a try. Now for today's card spotlight, we're going to talk about Hydroid Krasis. Now, the thing about Hydroid Krasis that's interesting is it did have a double Masters reprint, But even then, the original ones I believe are still around like $8 or so, and the new reprints are like $4. So they've actually still managed to carry value even beyond the reprint, which is pretty awesome. The reason though is this card's fantastic, especially in Commander, where you have a lot of games where you're getting to 12, 14, 20 mana sitting on the table. Well, this thing gets you a big creature and gets you life and gets you cards. So it's one of the best recovery cards you can actually play. And it's not complicated to use. Oh, and Hydroid Crisis flies, because I don't know why, it just does. So actually, I think it even has this. Wait, let me check something real quick. Does this thing have Flample? Nope, it does have Flample. So it has Trample and Flying. That's what I thought. Okay, yeah, card's just absurd. So yeah, if you're playing these colors, you should probably consider getting one and putting it in your Commander deck, because it's affordable and powerful. Now, if you enjoyed today's deck list and you like quirky decks that do weird things, check out this Mardu vehicles list we had. This one really surprised us, and we had a hell of a lot of fun playing that deck. But that's all I have for you for now. We'll see you next time.